Hey, none of us are using the hole in our underwear when we pee, right? You're going over the top with the schlong or your schlort, right? Is anyone using the hole actually each time they pee, even at home?
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We've got The Quick and the Dead today, our second Sam Raimi film, and our JanuRAIMI, our Raimi run. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello. I was thinking just now, Matt, about how Sam Raimi has a 4-movie run that consists of Evil Dead 2, Darkman, Army of Darkness, The Quick and the Dead. And I'm a little sad he didn't stick with that and have every movie have Dead or Dark in the title forevermore after this.
So the next movie should be A Dark Plan or a simple Dead?
Yes,
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Even though it's based on a book, and he'd be changing the title just to keep that theme just for you.
Ooh, For the Love of the Dead would be a pretty good title.
That's right. I forgot he did that. We're not doing that.
No, because you turned me down.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. I've seen it, and I didn't want to see it.
I haven't seen it, and I don't really want to see it either.
Okay, well. So you've got two people from different sides of the aisle here coming together to collaborate on not wanting to watch For the Love of the Game, starring Kevin Costner and John C. Reilly. Kelly Preston? I don't know who's in that.
You already said I only knew Costner, man. So once you went past him,
I just start listing people like I do, and then all of a sudden you want to see it. The Quick and the Dead, a movie we saw on our day of seeing 4 movies in the theater, and that's 2 theaters, 3 different movies. 2 movies snuck into, 2 movies paid for out of 4.
Wait, we did? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, we saw In the Mouth of Madness. We saw Quick and the Dead, we saw Brady Bunch, and we saw Heavenly Creatures.
Shit. Okay, so but where were we? Because February 95, we're in college and we're not even living in the
I'm in LA for some reason. I don't know why I'm in LA. This must be spring break.
Okay, I guess that's true because I'm acting
early. There's spring breaks in February.
I'm acting like we have to have seen these on opening weekend. You're correct. I definitely had already seen this movie though, because I saw this movie in Boston for the first time. I remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that part. I just remember we saw 4 movies in one day, but had to go to an art house theater to see Heavenly Creatures because it wasn't at the Cineplex. So
and had to have Universal Security jumpstart my car because it was raining and I left my lights on.
I don't remember that at all.
You don't? And we were parked in a lot we weren't even supposed to be parked in. It was all bad. It was all a thing.
Oh, man. So they could have just towed your car, really?
They could have said, you weren't even supposed to be here. Yeah.
Like, what are you off to see some fancy Peter Jackson art house movie? Yeah, because I don't remember what I can't remember what we saw first because that's what we paid for. But this was back when you could theater hop because there weren't assigned seats. You know, because you
can still do it. It's just way riskier as far as someone saying.
It depends on you can't do it at Alamo because they come and actually ask for your ticket at the seat. That's the thing. There's no one at the gate. There's no one.
Yeah. I mean, you go to the one theater chain where they specifically ask for your seat at your for your ticket at your seat.
Anyway. The Quick and the Dead, a Western we were all super stoked for because it was Sam Raimi, a Western that I still mostly really enjoy. I think there's some elements here that just don't work, but it's always amusing to watch this movie. It's so campy, it's so pulpy, it's so just blatantly is what it is. And I think it's also notable to mention here because as if you listen to Darkman, you know that we're not going to try to go through this movie from beginning to end. We're going to hop around and just talk about overarching themes and elements and facts about the movie. How much of a Sharon Stone project this was, as much as she was a co-producer of the movie and was integral in picking Sam Raimi as the director and her co-leads, as far as Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. She's the one who asked for them, picked them, and pushed for them to be in this movie.
Yes, Russell Crowe being a fight. Everyone wanted DiCaprio. He was white hot at the time. Everyone saw him as they were right. Has the next big thing.
So he was not a relative unknown, as they say in the biz, like Crowe was, even though Crowe is coming off of smaller hits like Romper Stomper and The Sum of Us. DiCaprio's
hits, Matt?
hits with the critics.
Yeah, because I
critical
had
hits.
zero idea who I did not know.
You
who
didn't
Russell
know that
Crowe
some
was.
of us made 400 million worldwide at the global box office.
Yeah, I didn't. I had zero idea who Russell Crowe was when I saw this movie. Versus DiCaprio, who was coming off an Oscar nomination.
Was this
and
or Virtuosity first? It was
this.
This was a big breakout year in America.
This was his first big American, like, giving him a big, credit movie.
So she pushed for him. Leo had already done. Was it just the previous year? The What's Eating Gilbert Grape and This Boy's Life with De Niro already,
Those were not the same year, and I believe they were a couple years before. So I think it was like This Boy's Life was first, and then
I think they were the same year. No,
then he gets an Oscar nomination for Gilbert Grape. So
and these weren't big movies.
Oh, they're both 93. But yeah, so they're two
were
years
the same
before.
year, and then even in this year with Quick and the Dead, he did Basketball Diaries and Total Eclipse. So, which aside from Critters 3, The Quick and the Dead was sort of his biggest, splashiest movie to this point, because everything else was sort of more smaller, independent drama,
Well, I would argue this. See, I want to talk about these four leads because it's a very fascinating snapshot of 1995, where they're at, what's going on here, right? Because Sharon Stone is the A-lister. She is the one who is, had this huge early 90s, which honestly, like after 1995, which she'll have Casino later this year, and an Oscar nomination, right, for that. But I feel like she's never as big as she is in the early 90s.
No. Coming off of Basic Instinct, she had Sliver and she had The Specialist, and those kind of ended her hits, but she was in hits for a while.
But Sliver made money. Sliver, I know.
No. I'm saying those were the end of her hits.
Yeah.
Like Sliver was a hit. Yeah.
Yes. Very obviously with this movie being like, I want to, she's a producer on it. I want to play against type because obviously she's getting sexy role. It was interesting to even see that she fought for them to cut a sex scene that was filmed with her and Russell Crowe, probably because it was like all of her movies had sex scenes. And it was like, so she wants to play against type here and do this other thing. And then Hackman's just funny because Hackman's Hackman. He's a legend. He was always a legend. Not always, but he'd long been a legend.
But he just won an Oscar for a villainous Western role, too.
Yes. Even though he wasn't, prior to that, he wasn't a Western guy. He'd been in Westerns, but he wasn't like, you don't think of him one-on-one with Westerns, but it is funny that off of Unforgiven, he's in Wyatt Earp, and then this movie where he's playing a very, similar type of role.
Well, he's way more obviously like mustache twirling, our typical villain in this sort of comic booky movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, and we mentioned Crowe is a nobody. He's
a nobody. He's a go nowhere guy. Yeah.
But in recent years, Russell Crowe has praised Sharon Stone on a Seth Meyers interview a few years ago for giving him his big break. Because she really put her foot down with the studio who didn't want to cuss this chump. But
this
DiCaprio
fucking down under bozo. Yeah.
But DiCaprio is funny because you look at his credits. Yeah, and obviously, Growing Pains and then his first movie ever, Critters 3, are a very young actor who has no say in anything. But you see what he does after that. Matt, I would argue this is the most.
I don't know if anyone has an filmography as unmatched as DiCaprio.
Right, but
it's insane.
I would argue this movie is the most commercial play he ever did. Like as far as the fact that he would never do a franchise movie, never do like a.
I feel like this and Titanic were like the big, because obviously I feel like Titanic was a huge like box office-y popcorn movie.
I mean, it was the hope, of course, that people also thought it was going to be a financial disaster because it cost so much. But
sure.
But yeah, it just feels like what I thought was impressive. I mean, first of all, he's just a great actor, obviously. But when you watch him in this movie, and I remember even at the time thinking this, there are moments in this movie that are very fun because the kid, very full of himself, like, he's a ladies' man. And when he's walking down the street and they're all, screaming and yelling and wooing for him, he's already playing up his image, right? Which is to say, two things were happening simultaneously. He was being lauded as this amazing actor who gets an Oscar nomination super young, and the girls think he's dreamy. And he never wanted to play into the girls think he's dreamy part of it. He would do romantic roles, obviously, Romeo and Juliet and Titanic, but they were still like auteur-driven movies. But the fact that he's almost already playing up the like, are self-parodying. The idea
Yeah.
of himself as like a teen idol, I thought was very savvy.
But
And
paired with this tragic character who gets a
yes,
crying, snotty, ignoble end. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like crying, doesn't want to die. Like I'm sure. I feel like that's sort of could have been what sold him on the role, is that he's this cocky guy who sort of gets undone and basically has every chance to avoid dying. You know, through the movie, even the as over the top as Herod is, the only inklings of sympathy we get in the movie from him are when he's trying to get his could-be son to drop
for
out of his
sure.
duel. You know,
Yeah, and I love that. I love little layers to your bad guy that doesn't make it. There's some interesting beats in One Battle After Another that are the same with Sean Penn, which is this a thorough bastard to the end, but you give them a couple little touches of humanity, and it's a nice little sliver so that they're not just playing a one note thing.
but yeah, right after this movie, it's like Romeo and Juliet, Titanic, and then it's crazy because before he becomes a Scorsese guy, The Man in the Iron Mask made a ton of money. The Beach, as weird as that movie fucking was, based on DiCaprio's Titanic swagger, made a lot of money, you know?
Would cause a decades-long rift between Ewan McGregor and Danny Boyle, but made a lot of money.
I will say, too, that I would like to imagine that on the set of This Boy's Life, where he and De Niro are co-stars of that movie, he like says right to De Niro's face, it's like, I'm going to replace you as Scorsese's muse, as his favorite actor.
Old man.
Man. Yeah.
Move over. As I cough, because I'm moving over. Yeah, what was I say? Russell Crowe. Oh yeah, it was funny for me to see that the cinematographer of this movie is Dante Spinotti, who is, if you look at his credits, they're fantastic, phenomenal. Last of the Mohicans, movies we've done, but it is funny that he has done a shitload of Russell Crowe movies. This was his first, but L.A. Confidential and The Insider and Public Enemies. Sorry, he wasn't in Public Enemies. I was mixing up my Bale and my Crowe for a moment. But he's done a lot of Russell Crowe stuff. Oh, but back to why DiCaprio wanted to do this movie. We're doing a Sam Raimi run here. Let's just say, I mean, that was the thing, is like Sam Raimi, people wanted to work with him. I mean, again, it's not like they don't still, but it's just, Sharon Stone really wanted to work with him. And I think DiCaprio, who was already obviously looking to work with like auteurs and directors with distinct styles, wanted to work with him. So I think he was like the selling point. We mentioned after Darkman, which was his first studio movie, he did Army of Darkness, another Evil Dead movie, although Universal released it. But this is his first time working with legit established stars, because again, Liam Neeson and Frances McDormand, not established stars when they did Darkman.
It's interesting here too, because Sharon Stone wanted him and wanted to work with him. He was kind of his first movie as a hired gun, though he didn't mute his Sam Raimi-ness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he can come in and we'll do some of these movies going forward in the Raimi run, but he'll do movies where he tones down his Raimi-ness for the sense of the story, and like not everything has to fit into his, mold. But here he's like full Raimi. He's like, do what you will,
I would push back on that, because what I think it is it's an interesting middle ground, because
I don't know that it's as middle as you would argue, but yeah.
I don't know, because most of the super stylistic moments are saved for the gunfights. Not all, but most are saved for the gunfights. So it's almost like when we go into gunfight mode, we go into full Raimi mode. And just the fact that this movie plays things very straight. Now, there's always a sense of humor to it. There's a little wink, and there's some lines that kind of wink further. But I will say that this is the first time ever he's playing it straight. Because again, Darkman goes super campy with like, the way, Neeson, like, the elephant and the My Little Dance and screaming. Like that scene where the kid dies, which is an emotional, well-played, emotional scene. That's got to be the first scene with like genuine pathos in a Raimi movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that he's maturing as a director for sure, because he's got new and different material. But
that's what I think. That's
why a big part of this movie.
The gunfight, no, they sure are, and the trailers push that. But I do think this movie shows, and yeah, we're going to get into some movies where or
even in the scene that's in the trailer very prominently, but also of course in the movie, where she's like, some people deserve to die, and it's her like large head, and he's like contrasted in the back of the frame as a small Gene Hackman going into the saloon. That's a very Raimi shot, and it's has nothing to do with gunfighting. I think it's still prominent throughout the movie. Yeah, but again,
Matt, are you referring to the split diopter shot?
Jesus, you and your mise en scène.
No, there are stylish flourishes, but I still think this is a very different movie compared to the Evil Dead movies and Darkman.
I don't know. I also think because he didn't conceive it or write it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's an element when Sam Raimi comes up with his own shit that he's going to do his own shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that he could have just made a Western out of this. And, something, not like a Kevin Costner joint, but like something a lot more traditional. And he didn't. And there's still montages with swirling guns in the air and, things that we just saw in Darkman, except it's not test tubes, it's pistols. But yeah, I would argue that in the Spider-Man movies, he may tone it down even more. But here, I think he's really still almost full Raimi. I don't think it's as middle as you argue. But but you know what? We can agree to disagree, I guess. But also, this is our final podcast. So that's it.
This is also interesting because it feels like this almost ends a mini Western revival. Look, Westerns in their heyday in the 50s and 60s were like the superhero movies of the era, which is they were constant. There were a ton of them. They were tonally all over the place, and they were like the bread and butter. Then they died off, and then they pop up here and there to this day. But because I think the early 90s had Dances with Wolves and Unforgiven be so huge, we then went into this early 90s era where we got Tombstone and Wyatt Earp and Bad Girls, which had opened a few months before this.
They tried throughout the 90s. Even they had Posse, they had Banditas. Actually, was that even the 90s or was that later?
That might have been later. But yeah, it feels like it was just starting to die out of this little
even Wild West. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they would have even made Wild as big as Will Smith was. I don't think they would have entertained bringing that TV adaptation to the big screen if it weren't for like some sort of fondness for Westerns that came back. So,
but yeah, this was a bomb. But I do think it's, hey, I always really enjoyed it. I still really enjoy it. And I'm glad to see that people have kind of not come around on it, but, I think it's kind of been discovered more as time goes on. I think a huge, obviously a curiosity of it is its cast because it's just like, what an insane
when we get into the actual duel itself or the quick draw competition, which I don't understand the full rules of because it seems like there are brackets, but you can also challenge. So you'd think that like the initial brackets are all challenges, but that going forward, you play by tournament rules and the next person faces the next person in the bracket. But I guess there's still challenges happening. So, but it's like a who's who of amazing character actors from Tobin Bell to Keith David to Lance Henriksen. Like everyone's like, oh, that guy, this guy, this. It's such a great ensemble that he gets together here. And then they all get to experience their own fun Raimi deaths or Raimi shots or angles or something like that. One of my favorite. We can name our favorite Raimi camera moves in this movie if you want. Mine is when Herod and Ace are talking, and it feels like they're standing right next to each other, and then it pulls back to reveal that they're actually in the duel already, standing really far apart.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. I thought that was stylistically really cool.
So much fun with the snap zooms and the whips and the montage. There's the shootout montage where everyone is filmed in front of a black box screen, like they're doing experimental theater, and it's great. And I certainly love because the movie goes into its craziest Raimi points in these duels, these shootouts, and it kind of breaks reality the most in these points. Obviously, it's super fun, even though in no way does it resemble reality. At the end, when Herod is shot and the shadow of the hole going through,
yeah.
And then the sun shining through.
But then it follows it up with the shooting him in the face and he flips. He does like a fucking full backflip.
He goes absolutely giant flip. Yeah, see, because to me, the reason I think it's restrained Raimi, it's all relative, right? Is because there are the moments where you can see like, oh, this is where he's really bringing that out. Like it's fun. For instance, he doesn't do in this movie a lot of point of view shots of things that, of inanimate objects, but he does a fun one, which was when Herod throws the glass at Court to test his reflexes. And we get a point of view of the glass.
Going into his hand.
Yeah. And then also Court, Russell Crowe, fully fully ashes when the way he shoots the guy behind him.
Oh
with that
man, well,
shotgun.
he shoots him behind, but then he crisscrosses his arms to shoot the guys on the roof.
Yes.
Very big, fun, crowd-pleasing moment. I don't think when we saw it again, like not opening weekend, I don't remember an audience cheering, but I could imagine it in my head. I cheered. I thought it was cool.
Yes. But yeah, with the cast, it's really impressive because it's just that mixture of like some of these people were very established. A couple of them were big movie stars. But a lot of them were just character actors at different space. Lance Henriksen because of the Aliens especially, but he done a lot of things. So he was we knew his name, we knew exactly who he was. Versus a Tobin Bell who only he gets that Jonathan Banks thing where like a role.
Oh yeah, we go back in time and be like, oh, it's the cool guy we know from other things now.
Yes. And stuff like that, or even very unrecognizable because he's so clean shaven compared to most of the time. Mark Boone Jr. Like people
as
like
Scar,
that, as scars, yeah. And what do you think it is? I wonder why did Raimi not? Because yes, you can play an Easter egg hunt and spot Bruce Campbell if you're very eagle-eyed in this movie, but there's so many guys in the shootouts, Matt. Why couldn't he have just given him a crazy?
I don't know,
guy?
but I didn't know you could spot him.
People have done some crazy freeze frame moments.
Then I'll look up online. I was convinced because, and I'm sure we've told this story before on the podcast, but like why he was brought to set to appease Pat Hingle and shoot some scenes that never wound up in the movie because Pat Hingle, who plays the bartender with the abused daughter, wanted more of a redemption arc for his character.
Rightfully, I mean,
I get it. But I didn't know that he could actually spot him in the movie, so I'll have to check that out. But I want our listeners to go back to a time, depending on how old some of our listeners are, to a time before the internet when we would see his name at the end of the credits and then just not be able to do anything with that. Or we were like, he's in the movie? What? Who was he? And then we'd spend our hours racking our brain about who he could be. I thought at first he was the photographer with the weird sunglasses, was that him with dyed hair or something? But no, we just would not have an answer for this at all. And we just have to live with it. The part of the movie for me that doesn't work, and again, this is just a campy, pulpy movie, so like it's not like the end all be all, is that I understand wanting to give your hero vulnerability and a backstory and like sort of like there's moments where Sharon Stone's character, who at some point is named Ellen, and Court seems to know that, but I don't remember her saying that to him.
Maybe in the love scene they cut.
Yeah, and she's like, "My name's Ellen," as she screams out. She's got this tragic backstory that's very Once Upon a Time in the West. Obviously, this movie was sort of an homage to the spaghetti westerns and the Man Without a Name trilogy. Is that if you're going to have her come into town, roll into town and be a badass and a stoic man without a name type Clint Eastwood character, but then also reveal that she's a murder virgin at the same time who's trepidatious and scared of getting her Moby Dick, right? Like getting her, seeking revenge. She seems capable, but also like, the synopsis is a gunfighter rolls into town. I'm like, is she?
It's a little murky, yeah.
It seems like she's cosplaying as a gun player to get to Herod, but also she's really capable and able to beat up Tobin Bell at the beginning of the movie, and has those like witticisms and one-liners and very action movie cool, right? But then it's like she's not at the same time and literally leaves town because she's scared. So it's sort of like I feel like there was a different, maybe better movie here if she was a Clint Eastwood. She was run out of town because they beat her up and threw her out or something, and she has to come back instead of like running away and then being talked back into it by the old doctor. I think the balance there doesn't quite work for me because when she rides in, when they blow up the town, great. We know Raimi's great with explosions because of Darkman. Some amazing explosions in this movie. When she walks back in, having been presumed dead, and it's supposed to be like, oh, the fiery vengeance of hell is coming for Herod. At that point, I'm like, I don't feel like she's as much of a badass as the movie wants us to think she is. She looks really cool, and that shot is really cool. Yeah. But I feel like she doesn't warrant the Clint Eastwood entrance. Because, I think that the balance is off. That's all.
Maybe it's a little murky because, because Herod, there's the whole, have you really killed someone before? If she hasn't, then the first person she kills is Eugene, the Kevin Conway character, the one who
And it is, and they play that because she's really like
right,
shaken.
and that she's shaken, and that's when she leaves town. Again, Pat Hingle was upset because his character is just lets his daughter be prostituted and doesn't do anything. He's like thankful she did something. I'm like, you do something, man. Like you just let this
and they have the moment where he almost takes the gun. Yeah, but
yes. But I think it could have had a little extra piece there. It's also so let's get into one thing about this movie that I think is tricky, which is Sharon Stone good in this movie or not? Because here's what I think, and I think this is going to sound like I'm just totally trashing her, even though I'm not, because I think she does some good stuff in this movie. She's not great the more dialogue she has, because I love how she plays. It's funny. It's kind of her go-to move where she keeps her fist in front of her mouth, and the coolest moment is when she's watching court and he's going to be hung, and she's obviously debating whether she's going to get involved or not. And she ends up shooting the rope to save him, and then she goes back and sits back down and puts her hand right back where it was. I love how she plays all that stuff. But in the middle, in the part we're talking about, which is where she is the most distraught, and where she has the big reunion with Old Man Marley from Home Alone, a movie I haven't seen that much, but I just watched recently. So I was like, hey, that's Old Man Marley.
Oh, I mean, he got to everybody. You know, that old man crying at the end of that movie made everyone sob. Even
yes.
George Costanza. Yeah.
Yes. So. I don't think she's great in those scenes. And so, and but also I think it's the weirdest part of the movie as far as a movie that, again, is not full parody, is not like it's not a goofy comedic Western, but it's a winking Western. But that's the stuff that's played the most straight. And it doesn't work the most. So I think that is probably a thing that kind of bogs the movie down a little bit at that moment. Even though I feel very positive about this movie. Like I really dig this movie.
Yeah,
but I do think
I get it. But also like sometimes her action hero retorts are a little dry and needed a little punch up too. So even at the end when she's like, when Herod is like, do you have some sort of problem with me? First of all, obviously. Second of all, she's like, I'll let you know. Like that's a bad line. And it's not delivered well. Like even if you're going to be dry, it's still, some of her things aren't great.
But
I just think the movie needed to settle on them. That's all.
But it's funny you were just mentioned in the context of something else that I fucking love. It's actually one of my favorite moments of the movie is Hackman saying, "Do you have some sort of personal issue with like his?" It's a very funny like him be like, "What the fuck?" Like is very.
But
funny.
Also like, wouldn't you just assume everyone in town has a personal problem with him? I feel like it's really weird. It's like if he walked up to the bartender, it's like, do you hate?
Well, but she's new in town, so I get it. Very funny moment. Oh, we should mention on the screenwriting level that Simon Moore wrote this movie. Who it was a spec script, lots of talk around it. He got the script sold. Other people would write on it, but though he'd be brought back. But the two very notable people who wrote on it, uncredited, are John Sayles and Joss Whedon. Because again, Whedon's name will come up a lot as a huge script doctor in the 90s, and John Sayles has done a lot of rewrites too. John Sayles having an interesting career as like making his own quirky indie movies.
Yep, yeah, and then he was like an indie director for life, like not like indie director. Indie had like 5 indie films and then had his big Hollywood break. Like he just had indie films. John Sayles apparently also made this movie way more dramatic and serious, and 2.5 hours as far as like the runtime of the script went. And all they did after he did his work on the script was cut out all of his stuff and put it back the way it was. So, like they just took out the extra hour he kind of added. I don't know if this actually holds true, and I'm sure it doesn't. But there was an old adage in Hollywood that as soon as you spoof something, that genre is pretty much dead. Whether it's a lot of people point to Blazing Saddles as the end of that Western run, right? Spaceballs as the end of the space run. Really, Mel Brooks just kills genres. And this could be that, or it just could have been the Western's time to die, peter off again. Though you mentioned this isn't a parody or a spoof, but it is sort of taking this to a very heightened, unbelievable Western if you're trying to live in a world of grounded, reality-based Westerns, right?
Mm-hmm. Although the huge counterpoint to the parody thing is the fact that everyone points out that doesn't matter. Walk Hard's existence is not stopped musical biopics from following that exact formula, which I think speaks to the fact that people really like that formula.
Right.
Like,
And I would say
they're
that
totally cool with that formula.
they are, though I would say that maybe Bohemian Rhapsody disproves this because I just think musical biopics aren't as lauded as they once were. You know what I mean? Like you will have one and it's sort of like, this will clean up at the Oscars. People were saying that about the Springsteen one. Well, it's not going to. So
Yeah, but the Bob Dylan one did pretty good a year ago.
but the Scooby, the Scooby movies, the scary movie franchises also did not kill horror. Horror is unkillable, much like most horror slashers themselves. I'm just saying that was an old adage in Hollywood, and it probably does not hold up this century at all. Okay, so anything else?
Let's mention a couple. I'll do some of your favorite things, which is make it
listing
a couple actors, because it is one of those movies where it's like, holy. Sinise was interesting only because this was the year after Forrest Gump, so it was kind of again another like cool. He just was probably filmed for a day or two for those flashbacks, but it was notable to even have him in there at all. The Swede is Sven Thorson, who is Schwarzenegger's buddy, who's in a shitload
who delivers an even worse line reading than Schwarzenegger in Running Man.
Yes, if you like, he's in a shitload of Schwarzenegger movies. Yeah. And then the most important person of this movie is Pat Hinkle's daughter, Olivia Burnett, star of The Torkelsons.
Jesus Christ! Was she his actual daughter in the movie?
The girl who plays his daughter in the movie
is his daughter. Okay,
not in real life.
Oh, okay, girl. So it's not Pat Hingle's daughter.
No,
okay.
The actress who plays.
So the bartender's daughter is Johnny Torkelson.
Was the lead of a sitcom in the early '90s. Really just remembered because of its title being The Torkelsons. And I remember seeing it a little bit. I thought she was cute. Again, guys, she was my age. And then being mad that in his second season they were cowards. They renamed it Almost Home. You can't un-Torkelson the Torkelsons. That's what it's got going for it.
When you go Torkelson, you have to go full Torkelson.
That's right.
No half measures for the Torkelsons. And then what is your favorite? Aside from Herod's head exploding and him backflipping, what's your favorite death in this movie?
I mean, is it Keith David who gets like the big explodey explosion hole in his head?
Yes. Yeah. He gets toyed with, and then
even though I don't like to see bad things happen to Keith David,
who does?
That's still a good moment. Obviously, and Henriksen's death is fun as far as like, again, Herod being, I think, a pretty cool villain as far as like, he's a rat bastard, but he kind of has your number. He calls out Henriksen's character on all his bullshit, and he's a literal fancy pants. And how he toys with him, and how he toys with everything he's claiming about what a badass he is. And
he took advantage, like credit for deaths that Herod did.
Yes,
and that also leans into something that some of these Westerns, and especially Unforgiven, which is the revisionist Western, the new take on the Western, and the power of myth and legend and what the reality is versus what's written about in the dime novels, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's playing a little into that too, which is like anyone could go around claiming anything. And honestly, this was true up until 1989 anyway. So you could go into another town and say, give yourself, just get a job as somebody with a different name. Mm-hmm. But back then, what's to stop you from wandering into a town and saying, I'm this person and I've done this, and a lot of big talkers. And how much was a big talker was the kid, right? Fee, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, saying like he's got bounties in these states, and he did, he's telling tall tales, much regaling the crowd outside of Herod's house at one point while they're laughing at his jokes and his stories. He doesn't seem old enough to have done anything.
But you never know. But he's very, obviously, DiCaprio's delivery on some of this, like is it the mock falling to his knees, and is it possible to improve on perfection?
That was a great moment too, because was the kid shot?
Mm-hmm.
But the very wordplay, and I appreciate the Weird Al-ness of the actor who named himself Rain or Shine, who you've seen a lot of things. How do you think he felt about being named Ratsy because he has a rat face? I don't know if that was in the script or if they saw him.
And is that the guy? And this is actually a good moment for Herod. Is that the guy he kills because he fucked up Court's hand?
Yeah,
that's a great. Not again. Honor is probably overstating things, but he's mad that his shootout is ruined. Like he wanted a fair shootout because he wanted the Shrewies better. So.
A couple questions here. I also want to know if Wells Fargo actually did sponsor this murder competition. But also adding to the elements of Herod's humanity, which peeks through ever so smallly every now and again, which is that one, he is genuinely upset when he kills Fee and tries to like rationalize with himself that he probably wasn't his son at all. It was never proven. I don't know how you prove it back then, and that Fee got to nick his neck. It was really cool. But that also he is nervous the night before his gunfight with Court. Like we see him separate, and it's very rare to see other characters separate from Lady or Court or something like that. See him like cleaning his gun the night before and saying the Lord's Prayer. Like. He doesn't know if and he even tells Court the next day can't remember the last time he was nervous or scared, and he loves it.
Yes.
He's like, I've been such a monster. I feel human again. But yeah,
he feels human again. There's a lot of nice little touches I think with this character who is both mustache twirling and yet also has a couple of nice little layers put in there. Raimi's great with the entrances here. Henriksen gets a great one panning through the bar up to him coming through the door. Keith David gets one coming from behind the door with the townspeople that have paid him to kill Herod. So lots of Henriksen was in a funny point here because he has Willem Dafoe face, which is to say like you got a weird look, you're going to be cast as a lot of bad guys. So in this early 90s, I know we're 1995 here, but yeah, he was doing Hard Target, Stone Cold, where he played a biker, kind of a similar look to this.
The movie where the villains complete their mission, and then I don't know what you do after that. I mean, the whole point was they wanted to assassinate like the state judge council of Louisiana. I don't know, I can't remember that movie, and they do. Like Brian Bosworth comes and kills them afterward, but they succeed. So I don't know what the point was. But okay. Maybe that's why he didn't make good on being the star of the future, that Brian Bosworth.
It makes you want to question everything, man. That movie was operating on a level you can't even conceive. Because now that it's all coming into clarity that we saw this movie together after it had been out for a few weeks, I can say I do remember seeing this with a decent audience in Boston, because I remember there was a lot of fun laughter at Spotted Horse's refusal to die.
Yeah,
and when he keeps getting up, that played well at the Sony Sherry Theater in Boston in '95.
Did you ever watch Millennium, the 3-season X-Files spinoff?
Not really. I dipped in and out here and there, but not.
Yeah, that was bring it up, everyone listening, because of Lance Henriksen was the star, played a character named Frank Black, and it was the plot of that show, the overarching spine of that show changed throughout the seasons, but it was supposed to be like the millennium's approaching, everyone's going crazy. Why? Or like crimes are getting worse, or weird things are getting weirder. Frank Black's on the case, sort of. I don't know. I can't remember it.
But then they got to actually resolve it on the X-Files, right?
I didn't watch the later seasons of the X-Files.
I know Henriksen came on to the X-Files, has the character, it was Chris Carter show, same creator. So, usually when a show gets canceled that had like a big serialized, we're all aiming towards this, it gets canceled, and obviously that's the worst. Like, it'll never be resolved. And I think this was a rare case where they're just like, we'll resolve it on another show where it makes sense to resolve it. Like, it wasn't insane that the X-Files could do a story where Frank Black shows up and they'll deal with what he's talking about. So I think that is actually what they got to do.
And Russell Crowe, again, very notable and stand out in this movie. Like, it did its job. I was like, who's this guy? And then later the year was Virtuosity. I'm like, here's this guy again. And he's also still great. When did I find out that he was actually Australian? I don't know. Maybe by LA Confidential, because he certainly wasn't doing that accent for us. But he was very great here. He was, I don't know. He looked like a cool Western dude. His backstory was compelling. Everything was good about him in this movie. And
he is very good, even though he's not playing like the weirdness or the bigness we're going to get used to him doing. But he certainly holds the screen. Like,
yeah, what if he played this role like he played fucking Zeus in Love and Thunder? How about that? Yeah,
because am I recalling correctly? This is still him and DiCaprio's only movie together, right? Which at this point seems funny.
No.
No.
Didn't they do, what was that, Body of Lies?
What was that?
It was that spy movie in the aughts.
And DiCaprio was in it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. God, I had no recollection of this movie.
Eric, Body of Lies.
And it's a Ridley Scott movie. God. Yeah. Wow.
No, I say Body of Lies sarcastically because I do not fault you for not remembering.
All right. Well, maybe
I fault myself more for remembering.
I hope they told a lot of Sam Raimi stories on this. Oh, what I was going back to Raimi though. It was interesting to see him talk about that. You know, because we spoke about this when we talked about Darkman, and the fact that Frances McDormand had a hard time on that movie, even though she had known Raimi for years. They were roommates, with the fact that he was so technically and visually minded, and George Lucas was not great with his actors, was kind of like, you stand here, because this is my cool shot. But that he has said in interviews, The Quick and the Dead is where he had to change because he's working with established movie stars who wouldn't sit for that. Like, Gene Hackman's not going to be like, yeah, just tell me, like Gene Hackman is going to force him to like talk about what we're actually doing in the scene on an acting level. And that he credits this movie and the fact that he's working with people like Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman who are going to force him out of that in a way that George Lucas never would, and be like, maybe you also need to learn the other side.
Does George Lucas, whenever he like hired new actors, especially for the prequels, would he have to have the talk, which is like, look, I'm probably not going to talk to you during this production. I'm going to tell you where to stand. I'm going to tell you faster or slower, and that's it. And just so you know that, so you do whatever, and I'm doing hand gestures here, acting magic you need to do as an artiste, and I'm going to stay behind the camera.
And I do like that Sharon Stone really wanted him after Army of Darkness. She was really into Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I do too. It wasn't even, well, like, even if she wanted him after Darkman, anything he'd done up to that point, if she's like, that's the guy, I'm like, that's cool, Sharon Stone. Okay, so...
Isn't it weird to hear that the other people considered for the kid, one isn't surprising, Damon, but Sam Rockwell, just because it's like...
Because they saw him in Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Ninja Turtles is like the only time he played a teen that I remember. So, it's just funny to be like, imagine...
But at that point, too, Matt Damon just would have been based off his auditioning, because he wasn't, I mean, what was he in at that point? Mystic Pizza? I don't know.
And School Ties, like things where he'd been like part of the group in some movies at the time. Versus, I mean, again, DiCaprio gets a prestige credit in this movie.
I know, after 1 year of making movies.
Really. Right. Because I think it was definitely seen as a legit selling point, which it was, even though this movie wasn't a hit. But
I mean, wasn't a hit. I will say that, like, yes, it wasn't a hit, but like, I always consider something to be a full bomb if it doesn't make back its budget. And this did make more than its budget, just not enough at all.
I mean,
and who knows
how it did a bomb on Hollywood terms.
But like, what was the rental situation? Because there was still a second revenue stream happening here.
And we talked about how Darkman was a legit hit in theaters and then probably cleaned up on video, which is why Universal was like, let's make straight to video sequels. I'll give a little shout out here just because Scott Spiegel as Gold Teeth Man, wherever he is in this movie. Scott Spiegel was a friend of Raimi's who co-wrote Evil Dead 2, and he very recently passed away. Obviously co-wrote one of our favorite movies and was part of the Raimi group in the midst of this. I was looking at Raimi's credits today, by the way, Matt, and one day we got to track down the movie he co-wrote in between Evil Dead 2 and Darkman, did not direct, co-wrote with his brother, credited under their mom's name. Credits say Celia Abrams. It's really Sam Raimi. And that is Easy Wheels, a movie about a group of female bikers and the leader of whom was abandoned by her parents and raised by wolves.
Nice.
Yes.
What's it called?
Easy Wheels.
Okay.
So
Why did he make Send Help instead of this movie?
So yeah, we gotta
He's like,
that.
all of my Hollywood, all of the MCU I've done, all the Spider-Man movies I've done has led to my big screen production of Easy Wheels. The most challenging thing I've ever done. How do you think this movie ends? This is another movie where, and again, we're just so used to 80s action movies at this point where things end and we're like, everything's okay. But does she get the $123,000 from Wells Fargo?
Which I was like, wait a second, that sounds like so much money in 1881. I looked it up. It's almost $4 million.
Yeah,
so
that's insane.
How Herod, like fucking how rich was this guy in our, in 1881 terms? I was like, Jesus, it seems like he should.
We don't know any. I mean, he just got his money from raping and stealing, I guess, right? Like, what did he do? He didn't do anything.
It almost, but it feels like he should even be he's in such a small little podunk town. If he has prize money for like our equivalent of $4 million.
Yeah. I'd also like to believe that I would like to believe that everyone in the town was out watching this final duel because, people definitely probably were killed when those explosions went off because they blew up like every place in town.
They did, but it looked awesome.
It looks so cool.
It's a great moment. I mean, first of all, obviously, it's a payoff on the fact that the kid has all this dynamite, and he gets to obviously play a role from beyond the grave in his father's demise, which is great. But also the countdown clock, the fact that we keep waiting for the clock to turn to the next hour for these shootouts, which they're shootouts. They're going to be done in a second. But what a great,
this movie has an amazing set. Like just the town built here is great and very memorable and very bitch. It's almost like a character in the movie, Eric. But yeah, this town of redemption, one of the great Western sets. And then also going back to what I was saying, how you could just tell anybody you're anything back then. She like tosses the marshal badge, her dad's badge, to court. And it's like, you're the new law. I don't think you can just become a federal marshal because you want to, but I do think you can put on a star on your vest and just say you're something. So
right. And we're so used to that like there's a lot of Westerns where that happens.
Yeah, where they just give someone the star. Yeah.
Was this regularly happening back then? I don't know. Seems like there'd be a lot of fights.
How'd you become sheriff? Someone threw the star at my feet.
Someone threw the star at my feet.
Picked it up. Yeah. And said, I'm sheriff now.
And that's where I wish that from, again, this is where I think her delivery, because I think someone who was, maybe that line does need to have a little more of a witty spin on it. And I'm not even saying change what the line is. I'm just saying she delivers it so dryly that it's like, it feels like it's like the movie doesn't know that it's having fun at that moment. And you kind of want it to have something more at that moment.
I'm also very happy that Ellen learned how to shoot a proper hangman's rope on the first shot. Because the backstory is so ridiculous.
This was the next thing I was gonna say. It's ridiculous, but it's awful too.
It's so awful that it makes me laugh because it's not like she shoots, misses, and he's like, "Keep going, baby. You got 3 shots." Misses. Oh, she nicks the fucking rope. Maybe she can do it. Bam, kills him with the 3rd shot. Nope, kills him with the 1st shot. So way off.
I think
so funny.
It's funny. It is funny as you talk about it, but I also think there's something kind of wonderfully grim about it.
It's funny because of how funny Hackman thinks it is. Like it's the most hilarious thing in the world to him. He's like, well, that does it. And he's like, we're off, and like rides away. It's supposed to be again, Once Upon a Time in the West, like keep your love and brother happy thing, where like the brother's on top of his shoulders with the harmonica in his mouth and the whole thing with that movie. It's worse than that in a comical way to me anyway. But I want to talk about the scene. She saves Court from being hanged. That's sort of like Herod's thing. He like puts them on a thing and shoots the legs out of chairs. That the Court character, very soft-spoken, very Russell Crowe performance from the 90s, but also like playing against our action hero expectations of like, he's renounced violence. Well, in an action movie, we don't like that at all. We think as much as we agree that that's the quote unquote right thing and the right path, we're like, come on. Which is why when he kills everyone at the end, we're like, yeah, fucking murder's back.
He's got it. He's back, baby.
But the movie is very mindful and I think does a good job. And I'm not saying for like a serious dramatic movie, but it does a good job of like his steps toward becoming that guy at the end again, which is like, first first the contest is just to wound the other person or to make them fall, right? Yeah. So he doesn't have to
It can
kill.
be to the death, but it doesn't have to be.
And then like they play up the thing with the spotted horse. As much as it's a silly scene, that's his first actual kill. And, you know, Herod's like, welcome back, killer. So we see the steps. The movie does its due diligence, I think, to make it feel earned at the end, so that we can cheer when he has the bloodlust back in his veins. But yeah, it's an interesting character. It's also a horrible backstory for him. Like, we don't get to see it, but he tells it to Lady. And it would be funny if he got his own like flashback too, with the black and white. And also the priest is played by Gary Sinise.
It was all Gary Sinise. Great scene where Herod takes court to get a gun. And first of all, there's a funny thing here where they really kind of play it, or Crowe is playing it. I'm sure he was asked to play it like he's an alcoholic. It's like where it's like just being around all the guns. It's like, you know, it's almost making it
like
itchy.
The smell of them, the sound of them.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It's like hard demon in a barrel. Ooh,
there you go.
But yeah, great scene. And, you know, fun how the kid is showing off all these super fancy guns and telling their history and all their things. But then when Herod demands the sell him the cheapest piece of crap you have, I really like the whole, like, you know, the gun shoots straight. Like, I wouldn't sell it if it didn't. A nice little moment here. Again, I think that's one of the strengths of the movie is it has these, as much as it's, you know, bigger than life, and it's not trying to be Unforgiven. It has these little character beats that are very nice throughout.
I do remember going back to like old Matt feelings, which is like, I remember after this movie really liking it, but also a little, I don't even know what the word is, but I was a little deflated by the fact that Gene Hackman was such a seemingly one-note character after seeing him in a lot of great things. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe he, you know, who knows why he does what he does. Gene Hackman now, unfortunately, like Rob Reiner, which we talked about on a News episode, is like, so like it'll take a while to like be able to like not think about the tragic end of this person tied up with their career. So terrible. But yeah, basically probably just you know, he has done movies for paychecks and he said as much, but so I feel like this was a paycheck film for him, and they even moved production to his home state so to get him to do it because he didn't want to go that far. And like, Gene, we built you a whole town anyway.
I did it all for you, Gene. Should we try to start a modern internet controversy by getting really upset about age gap that Sharon Stone, mid to late 30s, Sharon Stone plants a big kiss on 19 or 20-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, but I mean, the movie at one point for a second makes you think, like, wants you to think they slept together, right? Yeah. Age gap controversy, reverse gender style, is controversial now. Back then, it was still like, you know, people lauded the high school students that slept with their teachers, right? Right. For male high school students, it was still a thing, which is like, it was not seen as traumatic or illegal. I mean, the women would get in trouble, but the guys would get high fives, right? Like, that was still the era that was happening back then. I don't know. Yeah. And also, how old is she playing in the movie? I don't know. It is. I do like that, you know, this movie didn't need a romance at all. And I get that. They do still play off. There's a couple scenes that play off her sexuality, which, you know, when she's like almost sort of naked in the bed, or like just wearing a long shirt.
Or well, well, yeah, I was gonna say that the fact that her shirt's like so low buttoned. Yeah. Which is obviously a silly thing for someone who is a gunslinger.
But oh, there was another thing, and now I lost it. Being 50 years old in your brain.
I love again, I think that they give Hackman a lot of great moments, and his after his when he kills the guy in the gunfight, and he wants everyone to applaud, and they're not, and he's kind of like, and then they know they have to applaud. Is very. He does it later for court too. He like makes them applaud for court.
I really want there to be sort of like one sort of say anything dad in the crowd being like, yeah, like God
damn it, I always forget the name of the other band in School of Rock.
No Vacancy.
Yeah. I also like that Herod, he's really offended by court. Like, he's like, the whole thing where he's like, if a man is a killer, that's what he is. There's no dishonor, but don't let him start to act like he's not. Like it's like he's really just pissed.
It gives him, he hates that more than actual liars, or he it's the worst thing in the world to him. Deception, because he killed his wife because she was unfaithful, so he feels like he's being unfaithful to the god of death.
The more we talk about this movie, the more, and again, a movie I really enjoy, but I do think it's funny that the character that needed to be more defined is its lead character.
No, the character that needed to actually be more one note was her. And the character that needed to have a little more few layers is the villain, though as we analyze him, he did have more layers than her. So it's like when she's riding out of town and the Home Alone doctor convinces her to go back, he's like, the town's been waiting for someone like you to take down Herod. Why would he say that? Again, like, he doesn't know her. He hasn't seen her since she was a little girl. And he doesn't, like, again, she just killed a person for the first time. So again, like, the movie strains to, like, portray her as a badass hero and a scared, vulnerable, like little girl who's seeking revenge, right? So it can't nail down what she's supposed to be. I wanted her, and if I had to pick a side, I wanted her just to be the man with no name. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted badass.
Yeah, I guess to me it could be either, but I do think she's like kind of the murkiest. When
like, if you want that walk into town when everything's on fire at the end, you need her to like feel like she's a capable person. Because even then, when she draws on him, she still gets hit. She doesn't die, but he does hit her, even though she shoots him through. I wish he wasn't even hit. I think she needed to be like a super, killing machine.
Right.
I wanted to see her do the things, even though it was a cool Russell Crowe moment. I wanted to see her do the things that Court did with the gun and the shooting on the roof and stuff like that. So
right. That's great when he again had the alcoholic coming off the wagon when he's handed the fancy gun and he instantly starts spinning it around, and it looks like it's all in camera. It looks like Crowe did a lot of
him
practicing.
And DiCaprio look like, and they seem like the type of actors who would do that and learn those gun tricks and cool things. So
this movie is not filled with a lot of anachronisms, so it stood out when the one prostitute goes, "He's so hot," about Henriksen. It felt like some of McCravy's like, fuck it, she's gonna say he's so hot.
It was weirder too when the one next to her went like, "You've really grody to the max."
No, she said he's got Riz.
And she's like, "What does that mean?" She's like, "You'll see."
If you look closely, fun fact, there's a time traveler in this movie. And then we talked about how
someone in a fucking Enterprise outfit. Yeah.
We've talked about how Raimi, there's no one Raimi loves to beat up more than Bruce Campbell, and obviously there's a story from this movie which he's not easy to spot in that still involves that, but how he also just likes to abuse his lead actors, and how Liam Neeson, getting all the water, have Danny Elfman throw water in his face. And
I can't imagine him doing that to Sharon Stone.
No, but I also want to say, like, we watch personally, Raimi and people dumping trash on Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man. He was not going to do that to Sharon Stone, but he did it to Russell Crowe.
He did it to Gene Hackman.
Yeah, no, but he has all of those little asshole little kids attack Russell Crowe, and I was like, that's how he got it in, because he wasn't going to do it to Stone or Hackman. They were not going to let him do that. But he did have Russell Crowe, first American movie. Okay, all these kids are going to beat the shit out.
Jump him, yeah. Basically, you got to be jumped into a Sam Raimi movie.
I couldn't, because I forgot. I hadn't seen this movie in a little while. I forgot that the first rounds they don't have to kill, and so I was like, "Dude, does he kill this dad in front of all these kids as shit?"
No. And then he kills the kids. Actually, he just kills the kids in front of the dad. He's like, "You wanted the killer? Well, I'm back."
He shoots himself for some reason. And then the dad has to be declared the winner.
But it's like, no, what Pyrrhic victory.
Let's see. Yeah, again, this is a lot of this movie is gunfights, so it's hard to have.
I know. I mean, we don't have to talk all day about the movie.
No.
It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Wells Fargo just finances, absolute bloodbath murder competitions. But yeah. Yeah, I just think they need to figure out the lead a little more. And I understand a star wanting her character to have more depth.
Yes,
but also I don't think I think that was actually what was not needed here. So,
let's go. Let me talk just a little bit more about the death of the kid, because, like I said, it's a genuinely emotional moment. It gets to me. I remember it got to me in the theater. And I was surprised, but also I actually really like how it's all played. Besides the fact that DiCaprio is very good playing his death scene, the fact that they don't try to make it a surprise. In fact, it kind of really leans into it, because the two things I think that are really great in the setup to it are he has a really good scene right before when he says, all I want is his respect. But then we see him put on his face, right? Like he has to act like he's the showboat. Mm-hmm. And then we haven't talked about Alan Silvestri, who has done a lot of movies that we've done recently, did the score. And the score plays it very melancholy, like he's walking to his death, which of course it's not like it's going to be a huge shock given his role in this movie, but I think it all works really well, all that lead up and then how it actually plays out. Good stuff.
What if he kills him and then the kid becomes worse, and then she's got to kill the kid, and then her kid has to kill his kid, and then
that's the sales cut. The
kids killing kids having kids, no good.
that was the full sales cut.
I also like the use of again, we're sort of running out of things to talk about, but I do like the constant use of rain here. A good rainy Western town is always good for a scene or a fight. I also like when she challenges Eugene, the horror monger, and outside, and then they're just running at each other in the rain.
No, that is good, especially because we keep seeing they will pause the gunfights for the rain. Yeah, but because
game called for rain. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, for the love of the game. But that part, because it's become so personal with this little girl, that they just go out there and they're screaming at each other.
A little girl who, by the way, she draws on twice. The little girl's constantly coming into her room, and she's and almost killing her. So,
well, yeah, and then she also has. Isn't there a part where she's like, is that little girl or a different little girl who's like, "You're great," and she's like, "Grow up," it's
yeah, no, I think it's her. I think there's just one little girl.
Well, there's the other girl, because it is a funny moment. The other girl that has a funny moment is the one that Henriksen has hold up the card to shoot through. And she has a very funny mouth agape of what? When we see the reveal that he didn't kill her, although as we learned from Hackman, he has killed kids doing this trick before in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that girl made it through that one.
All right. The Quick and the Dead, everybody. We are doing next, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's A Simple Plan, chronologically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that is the movie where I will say that was Restrained Raimi. And it was a movie that I think you and I saw at a test screening, right?
Didn't you see shit. That? Very likely this was our peak test screening era. So,
and we both thought it was excellent, and very surprised by Sam Raimi's more somber, toned down dramatic turn. For in a movie that's still very pulpy Southern Gothic, or Midwest Gothic, I should say, but it still feels like it's in Raimi's wheelhouse in a way, but it is his biggest departure to date coming up. Simple Plan, still with movie stars ish, but not like this movie. But
I don't think he ever go. I mean, I guess Drag Me to Hell, but he's mostly in the movie star realm, at least in supporting roles from here on out. He's in the system, man.
Yeah, he's in the mechanism, the wheels.
Although,
of Hollywood
honestly, again, we'll talk about this more. We shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves. Bill Paxton would have been the biggest star
and he's still not a big star. He wasn't I don't even know if he was a leading man necessarily.
Not necessarily. Point. Yeah.
So yeah,
recognizable.
Really became a leading man, unless you count. And again, this will be a good opportunity to also talk about. One of my favorite indie movies, now I can't even remember it, Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. They had worked together previously on a neo-Western noir. Shit, what was it? Fuck.
Is it One
False Move? One False Move.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Great movie.
Yes. So we'll talk about that also when we talk about A Simple Plan next week. But until then, everything is possible and nothing is real. And Shockma.
Shockma.
If you found